We no afraid, we no see no one where we afraid of. We no afraid, we no see no one where we afraid of. Yeah, this is Everton Blender, and it's all about the young police from Jamaica, seeing Young Police Channel. Big up yourself, Everton Blender said that. We no afraid, we no see no one where we afraid of. Blessed love, Rastafari.
Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police Channel. To our loyal viewers and subscribers, at the channel we are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because it saves lives. That is a logical conclusion because preemptive strikes save lives and prevent the further loss of lives. We are all about saving lives on this channel. We at this channel aid criminals, their financiers, their supporters, enablers, and the likes with a passion, and we do not want them over here. Yes, let us repeat ourselves. We do not want any criminal supporters over here. Please, we do not want your views, your subscriptions, your likes, or your comments. Please go elsewhere where the red carpet is waiting for you. Over here, we want you, the criminal supporters, enablers, financiers, and all the likes, to go to prison or madness. Let me repeat myself. We at the Jamaica Young Police Channel, we do not want the criminal supporters and their circle over here. We want you to go to prison or madness. Moving on to our video.
Yes, you know our job here at the Jamaica Young Police Channel is all about to change lives. We're all about to educate our people with facts, not hyperbole, and making sure that as a people we know our enemies and we know who are would mean the Jamaican people well and want to see them succeed and for them to be successful. And to create a crime-free society where criminals are shunned, not put on a pedestal, celebrated, revered, lauded, and emulated by others. As you look right now, you're seeing a product of Jamaican culture. Yes, this man, Javon Pinnock, he's wanted in New York for the murder of Javon Jamison, aka Blingers. He had killed this youth last year in New York, and there's a arrest warrant out for him. We'd like to either see him in jail or at the departure lounge. Yes, this man, Javon Pinnock, Froggy, he was in the United States of America illegally, and Javon Jamison was in the United States legally, and he killed the legal resident and the illegal immigrant from Jamaica, killed the Jamaican youth for no apparent reason. It wasn't a justified murder, it was just murder. So today we're going to show you that Jamaica is a criminal's paradise. You're looking at two women. At the top, that's Angela Brown, and at the top left, that's Angela Brown. Beside her, that's Danishka Williams. Both women, fathers, have contributed to crimes in Kingston Eastern Police Division. Below Angela's Brownberg, that's her father. Yeah, man, farmer. He's no longer here. Anthony Brown. He was one of Jamaica's most wanted men in the late 70s, right up to 1993. Her husband, Paul Burke, allegedly is the man who was the logistics specialist who helped him, Tony Brown, and Jal Flash to escape justice from Jamaica. Danishka Williams' father, Danai Williams, not new to the Jamaican people, is known for his brutality. Yes, and he's the man who had killed a judge by the name of Derek Yu, and we're going to tell you about it. So their father killed a judge and a government official. Angela Brownberg's father killed a man. You're going to see that man photograph. His name is Ted Ogilvy. And their daughters were rewarded for their father's crime. So that's why we tell you that the PNP is a criminal organization. So this goes to show you that this is not a political party, this is a criminal organization. if you can show me one person in the Jamaica Labour Party whose child or children in which their father, their parents was involved in criminality, gang killing of other Jamaicans, well then you know that both political parties are the same. So for those of you who are saying that both of them are the same, so you are the economy, this show you that they are not. One embrace criminality, reward children of criminals. A person don't have to be convicted of a crime to be a criminal. And we have done several videos about Danai Williams and the killing of Derek Hugh. You won't hear it from some of your favorite bloggers because you have to understand that it has to do with the PMP, LGBTQ plus criminal organization. And when you are bought, paid for by them, then you have to just sing when you are beholden to them. As for me, I am not beholden to anyone. My loyalty is to the rule of law and Jamaica where I was born. Apart from my country where I live right now. So change is not won by a sprint. It's a marathon of perseverance, learning and unwavering commitment to truth and substance. History has shown us. Yes, history has shown us time and time again that some of the greatest minds, Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, and other inventors, philosophers, and visionaries, did not achieve success in a single attempt. Instead, they embraced failure as a stepping stone, refining their ideas and methods until their breakthroughs transformed life and altered the course of history. Thomas Albert Einstein once said, "A person who never make a mistake never tried anything new." Just let that sink in. A person who never make a mistake never tried anything new. This sentiment captured the essence of progress. Take Edison, for example. He famously said he did not fail 10,000 times when invented the light bulb, but rather discovered 10,000 ways that did not work. Such dedication underscores that true change is not immediate. It is the product of resilience, focus, and the willingness to pursue a vision despite setbacks. So when we look at these examples, a clear pattern emerges. Numbers and popularity are not the ultimate indicators of success. In a world fixated on instant results, viral trends, and fleeting fame, it is easy to lose sight of what truly matters: substance. Popularity can fade, but meaningful, transformative work has the power to endure. The truth, like a seed planted in fertile soil, may not sprout immediately, but it will grow in due time, finding its rightful place. It may be overshadowed for a season by distractions or noise, but history reveals that truth has an uncanny way of resurfacing and reshaping the narrative. For example, consider the civil rights movements of leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks did not bring about societal change in a single moment. It was widespread initial support. Their work required immense courage and sustained effort. The fruit of their labor were not immediate, but their commitment to justice and truth eventually changed the world. This is why we must not be disheartened by slow progress or a lack of immediate recognition. As we strive to create a positive change, the focus must remain on the quality of our work, the integrity of our message, and the depth of our impact. While fleeting popularity can momentarily overshadow substance, it is the latter that leave an enduring legacy. In the marathon of change, every step matters, every challenge faced, every lesson learned, every truth upheld. Whether your work touches one life or a million, what truly counts is the authenticity and purpose behind it. True progress is not measured by the speed of its arrival, but the lasting difference it makes on this world. As we said to you before, and we continue to say again, we at the Jamaica Young Police channel, we're all about saving lives and changing hearts and minds. We don't want our people to continue to live in a world without Jamaica where criminality is lauded, revered and celebrated. I was born and raised in a PMP community, and I can tell you that as long as I live, I will never embrace these people, because these people are the epitome of evil. If you are going to give my family guns to kill their neighbors because their political affiliation is different from yours and their thought process, then you are the epitome of evil. Why would I want to embrace someone or an entity or an organization that is all about for the destruction of life? I remember the first man that was killed in Jonestown, James, along Maya Street, and they told lies that it was men from Rima who had killed James. One of the men who had killed James died last week. His name is Vincent Morrison Spurline. He was one of them. General Starkey and the others. I can't name all of them. Yes. And shortly after that, the same night, they came for my cousin. Yes. And he hid under the spring bed. So the hatred that I have for these people, it's not something that just manifests itself just like that. This is something that I have lived and experienced. I cannot, in good conscience, support anyone to kill another human being, especially people who have the same race, same culture, and living in the same, whose ancestors have been through the same ills, evil, torture, rape, murder. For you to do that, any person who support others to kill their fellow man, devils, Satan children. So I will say, and I will make this known, as long as I live, I will never support the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization with this culture of criminality and reverence, celebration, and putting these criminals on pedestal on their children. Jamaica is a criminal's paradise, the disturbing political reality. Jamaica is at a critical junction. 2024 we're talking about, where the stark reality of its politics exposing a troubling trend, the elevation of individuals with deeply criminal legacy into position of legislative power. This is not just an affront to law-abiding citizens, but a clear declaration that criminality has a place not only in Jamaica's street, but also in the halls of government. Let's dissect this phenomenon and the implications for Jamaica's future. The legacy of criminality in leadership. Take, for example, Member of Parliament Angela Brown-Burke. Her father, Anthony Tony Tiga Brown, was Jamaica's most wanted man or fugitive from the late 1970s until 1993. He was implicated in the murder of Ted Ogilvy, a government official at the Ministry of Construction. Despite this, Angela Brown-Burke has not only secured a seat in Parliament, but seemingly risen unchallenged. At one point in time, she was the mayor of Kingston and St. Andrew. What message does this send? That the sins of the fathers can be overlooked or worse, rewarded, if they align with the political machinery of the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. Similarly, we now see the daughter of another notorious criminal. Doesn't have to be convicted of a crime, but his background speaks volumes. Danai Williams, poised to step into the political arena. Williams, a career debt merchant, has been into countless murders, including those of a police officer and high-profile figures like Supreme Judge Derek Yu, who was brutally assassinated in October 1987. It's on the channel. The fact that these heinous crimes were facilitated by individuals deeply entrenched in political and the Jamaica's underworld only underscores the audacity of their families being handed the reign of power. What does it say about a society when the offsprings of lawbreakers are elevated to position of lawmakers? This phenomenon is not an isolated occurrence. It is a part of a broader trend that speaks to the erosion of morality and justice in Jamaican politics. The PNP, which I call the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, appear to have made it a practice to reward the families of criminals who have served their interests directly or indirectly. The comment is clear. Commit crime for us and we will ensure your legacy lives on in power. This is not just a slap in the face of law-abiding citizen. It's a declaration that the law and its enforcers are secondary to the whims of a political party. The lawlessness that has gripped Jamaica, its high murder rate, rampant corruption, and systemic failures is a direct consequence of this political culture. The implications for Jamaica's future, if Jamaicans at home and in the diaspora do not wake up to the reality, the country will find itself sliding further into chaos. Today it's Angela Brown Burke and the daughter of Danai Williams. Tomorrow it could be the children of other notorious criminals systematically embedded into position of influence. What kind of example does this set for future generations? That crime pay, and not just in wealth but in political power. Let me repeat myself. This goes to show you that crime pay, and not just in wealth but in political power. The elevation of the children of criminals into parliament is not just an insult to the memory of their victims, but a direct threat to Jamaica's futures. It creates a dangerous precedent where criminals is normalized, even celebrated, as long as it serves political ends. This is not democracy, it's kleptocracy, a government run by thieves for thieves. Yes, this is a party, it's kleptocracy, a party run by thieves for thieves. The PNP role in this cannot be ignored. By repeatedly aligning itself with individuals of questionable backgrounds, the party has made it clear it's prioritized loyalty over legality, connections over character. For decades, the PNP has been the center of policies and practices that have emboldened criminals, dismantle law enforcement structures, and contribute to the lawlessness we see today in Jamaica. The PNP criminal organization latest move, nominated individual with criminal ties, should alarm every Jamaicans. It sends a chilling message. The party does not respect law-abiding citizens. Instead, it glorifies and rewards those who have contributed to Jamaica's crime epidemic. If that does not define a criminal organization, then what does? Jamaicans, both at home and abroad, must reject this dangerous trajectory. It is time to demand accountability from our political leaders. It is time to ask the hard questions. How can children of criminals become lawmakers when their fathers were lawbreakers? What kind of message are we sending to the youth of Jamaica? Why is the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization continuously rewarding legacies of known criminals? Jamaica cannot afford to let this continue. The country must stand united against this normalization of criminality in politics. It's time for Jamaicans to demand better, to reject the glorification of criminals and their descendants, and insist on leaders who respect the rule of law and serve the people, not their own self-interest. Jamaica's future depends on its people. standing up to this madness, allowing the children of criminals to legislate, is a direct insult to every law-abiding Jamaican. It is an assault on justice, morality, and the rule of law. You won't hear some of your big YouTubers come out with, no, because guess what? It's what's in it for me. And when it comes down to the PNP LGBTQ+ criminal organization, they only go after the Klansman gang, because that is where they're from in Spanish Town. They won't educate the people and let them see the dangers that are ahead. These people are not patriots. They are traitors. Plain and simple. It is an assault on justice, morality, and the rule of law. The PNP LGBTQ+ criminal organization, through its actions, is declaring war on decency and fairness. Jamaica must not let them win. The choice is clear. Continue down this path and watch the island becomes even more of a criminal's paradise. Or take a stand and fight for Jamaica where integrity and justice prevail. The time to act is now. We cannot just stand idle by and just watch this country. Jamaica crisis of morality and leadership when crime begets political reward. Jamaica is a country steeped in history of resilience, yet the troubling intersection of crime and politics continue to plague its progress. Today, the PNP LGBTQ, an organization I have come to refer to as the PNP LGBTQ+ criminal organization, is at the center of yet another scandal that underscored the normalization of criminality in public life. This time it involved Danishka Williams, the PNP candidate who rise to prominence is deeply tainted by a violent and criminal legacy of her father. And we say that without any apology. Yes, Danai Williams, a legacy of death and destruction, is not just any name in Jamaica's dark underworld. He's a man alleged to have orchestrated numerous heinous acts against law-abiding citizens, police officers, and even pillars of justice. Among his most egregious accusations is his alleged involvement in the brutal killing of Supreme Court Judge Derek Hugh, the first known judge that has been murdered in Jamaica. The allegation, it is reported that Danai Williams paid Lukey Campbell and Trevor Bulgin Bennett, another man, to carry out the assassination of Judge Derek Hugh in October 1987. This was not an ordinary killing, it was an assault on the very foundations of Jamaica's justice system. When a judge, a symbol of fairness, accountability, and order, is murdered, it sends a chilling message to the nation. Lawlessness is stronger than the law. A culture of impunity, despite the blood on his hands. Danai Williams operates with relative impunity for years, amassing wealth and influence, while the victims of his crimes and their families were left to suffer. It is unconscionable that such a man could leave a legacy where his children not only avoid accountability for his deeds, but instead rewarded with leadership role in Jamaican society. Reward for criminality, Danishka Williams rise. Enter Danishka Williams, Danai Williams' daughter, and now the PNP LGBTQ+ criminal organization candidate for Southwest Centre. Her candidacy cannot be viewed in isolation. It must be examined within the broader framework of Jamaica's political decay, where the connections to criminal power seem to act as a stepping stone to leadership position. What message this sends to the Jamaican people, especially to law-abiding citizens who work hard, follow the rules, and seek justice for their loved ones? You can kill a judge and your daughter get a big post. Welcome to Jamaica, the criminal's paradise. The appointment of Danishka Williams is nothing short of grotesque reward for her father's criminality. It reflects a system that protects, glorifies, and empowers the legacies of criminals rather than upholding integrity and justice. The PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, the PNP's actions reinforce the identity as an organization that has for decades nurtured criminality while neglecting the cries of decent law-abiding citizens of Jamaica. By putting forward the daughter of a man allegedly responsible for so much death and destruction, the PNP is signaling to the world that crime pays, not just money, but in political power. Danishka Williams' rise is not simple and isolated incident. It is a part of a larger trend in Jamaica where the children and associates of criminals are handed leadership positions. They set a dangerous precedent for the future of our country. It tells Jamaica's youth that morality and hard work are irrelevant. What matters is who you are connected to, even if those connections are drenched in blood. When a child of a lawbreaker becomes a lawmaker, the line between justice and injustice is obliterated. Can such individual truly stand for law and order when their very platform is built on the foundation of criminal legacies? How can they champion the rights of victims when their political accents benefits from the actions of perpetrators? The consequences of this culture are devastating. A crisis of trust. The people of Jamaica, especially those who have lost loved ones to crime, are being told that their suffering does not matter. The elevation of individuals like Danishka Williams erode the trust in the political system and deepen feelings of disenfranchisement. 2. The glorification of criminality. By rewarding the children of notorious figures, the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization is normalizing and glorifying criminal behavior. Young people in Jamaica may look to these examples and conclude that crime, rather than education and hard work, is a path to success. A future governed by criminal legacies. If this trend continues, Jamaica's leadership will be filled not by individuals of integrity and vision, but the offspring of men who have wreaked havoc on the nation. This is not the Jamaica that decent, hard-working citizens deserve. The people of Jamaica, both home and abroad, must reject this normalization of criminality in politics. The candidacy of Danishka Williams is a slap in the face to every Jamaican who has ever believed in justice, integrity, and the rule of law. It's a betrayal of the memory of Judge Derek Yu and every victim of violence in this country. Demand accountability. Jamaicans must demand answers from the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. Why was Danishka Williams chosen to represent the people? What qualifies her to lead? Why does the party continue to reward the legacies of criminals? Reject the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. This party has made its allegiances clear. It does not stand with law-abiding citizens. It stands with those who undermine the law. Jamaicans must reject this party, and its criminal ties at the ballot box. Reclaim Jamaica's future. Jamaica deserves leaders who stand for integrity, not individuals who stained by sins of their forebears. The country must unite to ensure that leadership positions are earned through merit, service, and honor, not through blood and violence. Jamaica cannot afford to remain silent as criminals and their legacy infiltrate its highest offices. Danishka Williams' candidacy is a symptom of a larger disease. The unchecked power of criminality with the political system. If Jamaica does not take a stand now, the future will be ruled by leaders, but by the shadow of the country's darkest past. It's time for the Jamaican people to say enough is enough. It's time to demand a country where justice is scared, not sacred, where leadership is earned, and where the victims of crime are honored, not betrayed. Jamaica stands at a moral and societal crossroads in a time when crime ravages our communities and justice feels like a distant dream for the victims. The elevation of criminals and children of notorious criminals into political power send a chilling and unacceptable message. Crime pays and the system rewards it. Two glaring examples of this betrayal are the candidacy of Danishka Williams, the PMP LGBTQ plus candidate for Southwest St. Ann, and Member of Parliament Angela Brown-Burke. Both women who now holds or seek significant leadership roles carry legacies tainted by the heinous crimes committed by their fathers. Men whose action caused untold harm to Jamaican society. Danai Williams, the father of Danishka Williams, is alleged to have orchestrated a brutal assassination of Supreme Court Judge Derek Hugh in October 1987. Anthony Tony Tiga Brown, the father of Angela Brown-Burke, was one of Jamaica's most wanted men in the late 1970s, accused of killing government official Ted Ogilvy and involved in a spree of violent crime including murder, robbery and shooting. As a little boy in 1980, I had saw him at the community center. He and George Flash, the community center in Brook Valley, Kingston 20. Both men along with three other men. But everyone in the community knew that they were over there. At the time, we didn't have house phone or stuff like that in Jamaica. So it would be conventional way that the police would get that information. And yet, in a cruel twist of fate, their daughters, descendants of lawbreakers, are now positioned as lawbreakers. The fathers are lawbreakers, and now the children are in a position of lawmakers. Leaders meant to uphold the very system their fathers sought to destroy. So that's how it is in the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. They will reward criminals and punish law-abiding citizens. So the murder of Judge Derek Hugh in October 1987, Supreme Court, Judge Derek Hugh was brutally gunned down, an act that reverberated across the nation. A judge represents the backbone of justice, someone tasked with ensuring fairness and order in a lawful society. Allegedly, Danai Williams, that's the father of Danishka Williams, paid three men, Luke Campbell and Trevor Bulgin Bennett, another man whose name is in the other video. We have done so many videos about them to carry out this despicable act. The reason why I remember these men's names is that we had known them, all of them. So this was more than the killing of a man. It was an attack on the rule of law itself. Judge Hugh's murder signified the growing power of criminals who believed they could silence justice through violence. Danai Williams was not just a partisan in crime, he was a debt merchant, orchestrating violence that took the lives of law-abiding citizens, police officers and justice officials. Now his daughter, Danishka Williams, has been rewarded with the opportunity to represent the people of Southwest St. Ann under the PMP banner. What message does this send to the families of Judge Hugh and others who had suffered? It tells them that your grief is inconsequential, that the criminal network that destroy their loved ones will live on, not in the shadows but in position of leadership. The legacy of Anthony Tony Tiga Brown, Anthony Browns, also known as Tony Tiga Brown, was once Jamaica's most wanted man. A $5,000 reward was issued for his capture in the 1980s, and he was wanted for the murder and shooting with intent. He was implicated in the killing of Ted Ogilvy, a government official, another violent act that signaled contempt for public order. Anthony Brown terrorized Jamaican communities, embodying the culture of lawlessness that has plagued the country for decades. Despite this, his daughter, Angela Brownberg, now sits in Parliament, holding a position of trust and leadership. This elevation of his legacy through his daughter's political success is not just troubling, it's a stark betrayal of the principle of justice and accountability. How can a society respect its leaders when those leaders carry the shadows of the very man who undermine public safety and governance? The PMP LGBTQ plus a criminal organization, the rise of Danishka Williams and Angela Brownberg under the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization highlights a deeper troubling pattern. The rewarding of individuals whose family have directly benefited from criminal activities. This is not just coincidence. It reflects a deliberate culture within the PMP that prioritizes connections, even those soaked in blood, over integrity and morality. The PMP's action sends a clear message. Commit crime for us and your family will be rewarded. Undermine justice and we will elevate your children to a position of power. This is not politics. It is a criminal enterprise masquerading as leadership. The PMP, which I unapologetically refer to as the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, has long enabled and normalized the infiltration of criminal elements into governance. The candidacies of Danishka Williams and Angela Brownberg are just the latest symptoms of this deep-rooted disease. The implication of this cannot be overstated. By elevating the children of notorious criminals into political leadership, the PMP is setting a dangerous precedent for Jamaica. The glorification of criminality. Young Jamaicans are being taught that crime is not only acceptable but profitable. If you commit heinous crime, your legacy will live on through your family in positions of power. A crisis of trust in leadership. How can the Jamaican people trust leaders who carry the legacies of men who terrorize their communities? This undermines faith in governance and erode the moral authority of Parliament. The empowerment of criminal networks, elevating individuals with such connections, embolden the very criminal network that continue to devastate Jamaica. The lines between politics, organized crime, and governance blur further, leaving law-abiding citizens vulnerable. Jamaicans at home and in the diaspora must take a stand. The country cannot afford to remain silent while criminals and their legacies infiltrate its highest office. Demand accountability. The PMP must answer for its choices. Why are individuals like Danishka Williams and Angela Brownberg are elevated when their fathers' crime are stain on the nation? Reject the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. Jamaicans must reject this party's blatant disregard for justice and decency. The PMP has proven time and time again its priority, power over principle. Fight for a Jamaica of integrity. Leadership position must be earned by merit, character and service to the people, not handed to individuals connected to criminal legacy. Jamaica's future cannot be built on the legacy of murderers and lawbreakers. The family of Judge Derek Hugh, Ted O'Keefe, and countless others deserve justice, not insult. Seeing the children of their killers rewarded political power. The candidacy of Danishka Williams and the continued leadership of Angela Brownberg are emblematic of a system that has lost its way. Jamaicans must rise up and demand leaders who stand for justice, accountability and progress. It's time to draw the line in the sand. No longer should Jamaica be a place where you can kill a judge and your daughter get a big post. No longer should criminality be rewarded. Jamaica deserve better. The victims of crime deserve better. The Jamaican people deserve better. It's time to fight for our nation, where leadership is earned through integrity, not inherited through bloodstained legacy. How will we reach this point? How will we reach this point as a people, where people are being rewarded for killing judges? From wanted posts at the parliament, the troubled legacy of criminality in Jamaican politics. In Jamaica, a country where the fight against crime is ongoing, is an ongoing struggle. The elevation of individuals with ties to notorious criminals into leadership position is not just a tragedy, it's a betrayal of justice and decency. The case of Angela Brown Burke, a sitting member of parliament, shines a stark light on this dangerous reality. Her father, Anthony Tony Tiga Brown, was once one of Jamaica's most wanted men, accused of heinous crimes that shook the nation. His wanted posters tells a grim tale of his legacy. $5,000 reward for Anthony Brown, aka Tony, aka Tiga, wanted for the murder and shooting with intent of government official Ted Ogilvy. So these words are not merely ink on a faded poster. They represent a period of terror and lawlessness, where Anthony Brown's action contributed to destabilizing community and striking fear into the hearts of Jamaicans. Despite this dark past, his daughter Angela Brown Burke now holds a position of political power in Jamaica's parliament. You can't make that up. Anthony Brown, a symbol of criminality and lawlessness, was no ordinary criminal. During the 1970s and 80s, his name became synonymous with violence, destruction, and a utter disregard for human life. Wanted for murder, Brown was accused of orchestrating the murder of Ted Ogilvy, a government official who represents stability and public service. The killing of such a figure sent shockwave across Jamaica, highlighting the troubled boldness of criminals to attack even those in position of power. Shooting with intent and robbery, Anthony Brown's activity extends far beyond one act of violence. His crime include armed robberies, shooting, and reign of terror that cause suffering and insecurity in the communities he targeted. For years, Anthony Brown was hunted by law enforcement with $5,000 reward placed on his head, a significant sum at the time, underscoring the urgency of his capture. His criminal exploits made him a Jamaica's most wanted man, a symbol of lawlessness that was gripping the nation. Angela's Brown Burke, from the shadow of a criminal legacy, fast forward to today, the name Brown now appears on the ballot of Jamaica's election, not as a fugitive, but as a leader. Angela Brown Burke, the daughter of Anthony Brown, now holds a respected position in Parliament, one of the highest offices in the land. How can this be reconciled with the brutal legacy of her father left behind? The question that every Jamaican must ask is, what message does this send to the country, to victims of crime, and to law-abiding citizens? Rewarding criminal lineage, Angela Brown Burke rise to power despite her father's criminal history, signal that ties to Jamaica's most notorious outlaws do not hinder political ambitions. Instead, they appear to serve as a stepping stones for these people in a system where connections trump character. An insult to victims for the families of individuals like Ted Ogilvy, who was murdered at the hands of Anthony Brown. Seeing his daughter occupy a seat in Parliament is not only painful but deeply insulting. It disregards their suffering and erase the gravity of their crimes committed. The normalization of criminal influence by allowing individuals connected to notorious criminals into position of power. Jamaica's political system is normalizing and legitimizing criminal influence. This undermines the very principle of justice, governance, and public service. Angela Brown Burke's story is not one of merit or sacrifice, but one that raises serious question about Jamaica's political culture. How did the child of a man wanted for murder and robbery become a lawmaker? What does this say about the standard of leadership and accountability in our nation? How that? The People's National Party, a pattern of criminal ties. Angela Brownburg presence in Parliament is not isolated. It is a part of a broader pattern within the People's National Party, a party that has continually aligned itself with individuals and families that have deep connection to crime and lawlessness. The PNP's decision to elevate Angela Brownburg to leadership represents more than just poor judgment. It reveals a dangerous allegiance to criminal legacy. It tells the Jamaican people that the party does not care about justice, morality, or victims of crime. Instead, it prioritizes power and loyalty, no matter how bloodstained the roots of that loyalty may be. The implications of Angela Brownburg's political career are dire for Jamaica. Erosion of public trust when the descendants of notorious criminals are elevated to position of leadership. It erodes trust in the political system. Jamaicans began to question whether their leaders truly represent them or their interests of criminal underworld. The glorification of crime, the rise of individuals with such connections send a message to young Jamaicans that crime, far from being dead, can lead to power and success. This creates a dangerous cycle where criminality is not punished but rewarded. A failure of justice, Angela Brownburg's position serves as a stark reminder of Jamaica's failure to deliver justice for victims like Ted Ogilvy. How can we claim to honor their memories when the descendants of these killers sit in Parliament? Jamaicans cannot continue down this path. If we are to build a just, fair, and prosperous society, we must demand accountability, integrity, and moral leadership from those who govern us. The people of Jamaica, both at home and in the diaspora, must take a stand. Reject leaders with criminal ties. The political system must stop rewarding individuals who benefits from criminal legacy. Leadership position should be earned through merit, integrity, and service to the people, not through connection to Jamaica's most wanted men. Hold the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization accountable. The People's National Party must answer for its continued alignment with individuals who are tied to crime. Jamaicans must demand better from their leaders and refuse to accept excuses. Uphold the rule of law. Jamaica's justice system must be strengthened to ensure that criminals and their network cannot infiltrate governance. No one, no matter their name or connection, should be above the law. Angela Brownburg rise to Parliament despite her father's dark and violent legacy is an insult to every Jamaican who has fought for justice, safety, and integrity. It is a betrayal of victims of Anthony Brown's crime, like Ted Ogilvy, whose family are left to grieve while his descendants thrive in power. Jamaica must reject this normalization of criminality in politics. The country deserves leaders who stand for justice, accountability, and progress, not individuals whose legacy are steeped in blood and lawlessness. It is time for our Jamaicans to demand better. The people must rise up and say, enough is enough. No longer should the children of criminals inherit the reign of power. No longer should crime be rewarded while victims are forgotten. Jamaica can and must do better for its people, for its future, and for the generation yet to come. From the most wanted man in Parliament, the dark shadow of Anthony Brown, the 1980s Jamaica, a time marked by a rising crime and lawlessness, one name stood out among the nation's most dangerous and wanted men, Anthony Brown, also known as Tony Tiger. remember that this man was on a poster. At the time when I was growing up, used to have this thing called the Jamaican Star, where they would put the 10 most wanted men on the Star every day. The government used to pay for it. At the time, we had a man named Edward Siaga, the same man that the PMP LGBTQ plus criminal organization have brainwashed the Jamaican people to eat, when he's the only man that really loves Jamaican. Jamaican political landscape is once again marred by controversy, raising deep concern about the standards of leadership and the moral direction of our nation. At the heart of this is Danishka Williams, the People's National Party caretaker for Southwest Sentan. Danishka candidacy cannot be viewed in isolation. It is overshadowed by the violent and deeply troubling legacy of her father, Danai Williams, a man whose criminal history stands as a dark stain on Jamaica's fight for justice, safety and order. Danai Williams was not an ordinary figure. He was a man whose actions contribute significantly to the cycle of violence, lawlessness and terror that continue to cripple the highland today. His legacy as a net merchant speaks volume about the kind of devastation he left in his wake. Yet now, in a cruel irony, his daughter Danishka Williams has been presented as leader for the people of Southwest Sentan, a candidate who aspired to make laws and policy in the country her father helped destabilize through his alleged criminal enterprises. This raises profound and unsettling questions. How can the daughter of a man who thrived through violence and destruction be considered fit to lead? What message does this send to law-abiding citizens of Jamaica? Danai Williams, whose name is synonymous with violence, betrayal, and criminal enterprise, his alleged involvement in some of Jamaica's most brutal crimes is well documented, leaving behind a trail of victims, shattered family, and broken communities. Rumor orchestrating the murder of a Supreme Court judge, Derek Hugh. One of the most egregious allegations against Williams is his role in the killing of the Supreme Court judge, Derek Hugh. And we have told you already how he went about it. Danai Williams' activities were not isolated incidents. His legacy included deaths of countless Jamaicans, directly or indirectly. His role in perpetrating gang-related violence and fueling drug network left a lasting scar on the island, especially in the Kingston metropolitan area, where his name became synonymous with fear. These are not minor infractions or allegations. They represent the systematic destruction of life, trust and public safety. Crime have shaped Jamaica's struggle. With crime and corruption, the societal decay. Given this history, it is deeply troubling that Danishka Williams, the daughter of such a man, has been chosen by the PMP to represent the people of Southwest Sentan. Her candidacy raises urgent questions. Is leadership a birthright regardless of legacy? Danishka Williams' rise is not based on merit, proven leadership or service to the people. Instead, it appears to be a reward for our family's name, a name steeped in bloodshed and criminality. Leadership is not and must never be a birthright, particularly when it comes to such a destructive legacy. What does this say to victims and law-abiding Jamaicans? For the victims of Danai Williams' alleged crimes, families who lost loved ones, police officers who were betrayed, communities torn apart, Danishka candidacy is an insult. It sends a chilling message. Your suffering does not matter. The children of criminals will strive, rewarded in power and prestige. Can someone with such ties truly represent justice and progress? Danishka Williams may claim to be her own person, but political leadership requires a foundation of trust, integrity, and moral clarity. Her father's actions cast a long shadow over her ambition, and the people of Southwest Sentan have every right to question whether she can represent them fairly and without bias. The PMP decision to embrace Danishka Williams is not an anomaly. It is a part of a troubling pattern where individuals with ties to criminality, direct or familiarly are elevated into leadership roles. They speak to a deeper cultural issue within the party. The PNP appears to reward criminal connections, sending the dangerous message that crime, violence and corruption are pathways to political power. By selecting Danishka Williams, the PNP is prioritizing loyalty and connection over integrity and morality, further undermining Jamaica's democratic ideal. This is not just a political misstep, it's an outright betrayal of the Jamaican people, particularly those who are suffering at the hands of criminal networks. Danishka Williams' candidacy set a dangerous precedent for Jamaica's future. The normalization of criminal legacy, the erosion of justice and morality, betrayal of victims, the rise of Angela Brown Burke and Danishka Williams, daughters of Anthony, Tony, Tiga Brown and Danai Williams, men allegedly responsible for heinous crimes, murders, including those of government officials and a Supreme Court judge, present a troubling reality for Jamaica, rewarding criminal ties with power. Instead of being disqualified by their father's violent legacy, these women have been elevated to positions of leadership and political influence. This is not simply an oversight. It is a deliberate choice that undermines justice and the moral fabric of the nation, a systemic normalization of criminality. These cases are not isolated. They reflect a pattern within the People's National Party, a party that appears willingly to reward and empower individuals connected to criminal network. The normalization that normalizes criminal legacies, reaching and teaching future generation that crime and violence can be a pathway to power rather than barrier. The Jamaican people, both home and abroad, must take a stand against this dangerous erosion of values and justice. So if you are for the PNP, do not complain about crime, murder and all of these things in Jamaica. You have a member of parliament, Angela Brown Burke, whose father reigned terror on Jamaican people in the 1970s and 1980 until he was whisked out of Jamaica by her husband, Paul Burke. The normalization of criminal legacy cannot be continue if Jamaica is to secure a future rooted in integrity, accountability and fairness. The Jamaican people have to reject leaders tied to criminal histories. Political office must be reserved for individuals of honor, not those who carry shadows of criminal legacy. Demand transparency and accountability. The PNP and all political entities must be held accountable for elevating individuals with connection to crime into position of power. Uphold justice for victims. Families of victims like Ted Ogilvy and Judge Derek Hugh deserve justice and respect, not indignity of seeing descendants of their killers rewarded with leadership. Jamaica deserves leaders who inspire hope, not leaders who remind us of the darkest past. The time has come to say enough is enough. Jamaicans must demand better and unite for the sake of their children and their community, the future of the country they love. Leadership must be earned through service, honor, merit, not inherited through bloodstained legacy. So those of you, if you support the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, you are supporting a criminal organization. They do not care about you. They care about criminals. So if you're a law-abiding citizen and you support the PNP LGBTQ plus party, just remember, Angela Brown Burke, her father, Tony Brown, Anthony, Tony, Tiga Brown, this man had killed a government official. Then you have Danishka Williams, her father, Danai Williams. He is responsible for the death of Judge Derek Hugh. So if you want a better Jamaica, you have to look elsewhere. You can't look to these people. These people are criminals. They have no respect for you as a law-abiding citizen. You want to tell me that there are other Jamaicans who are not involved in criminality, who should be rewarded in Jamaica? But because they know that the people that voted for them, these are people who are ignorant, illiterate, and these are just licky Jamaicans. Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police Channel out.